Okay, this video is to document a quirk of DaVinci Resolve's automatic color management that's been causing me trouble lately. At first I thought maybe I was using it wrong, but at this point I think it's a bug and a regression. This is DaVinci Resolve version 20.2.2 build 10 on a Mac. I did test this with Resolve 19 and the problem didn't occur in that version. So more on this later. So let's create a new project here. I have some footage shot on a Panasonic GH5 in hybrid log gamma mode, HLG. Let's import that. Where is it? Here it is. This is just a very short section of the recording that shows the problem. It's only a fraction of a second long. Now, my understanding is I need to convert this footage from hybrid log gamma to my monitor's gamma to my monitor's color space to get proper rendering. So we can do that by going to the color tab before I do that, notice on the media tab, if I switch here and then show the input color space, it is Rec 2100 hybrid log gamma. So Resolve knows what color space this is supposed to be in. So we can do this the manual way. First off, project settings and color management. The timeline color space is the DaVinci wide gamut intermediate format, which my understanding should give the maximum fidelity for intermediate transformations. And our output color space is Rec 709 gamma 2.4, which is what I intend to export at the end. Okay, so we need to add some color space transformation nodes to our processing graph. So if I go in here and find color space transform and add one at the input, I can say for the input color space, we want Rec 2100. Input gamma, we want Rec 2100. Where is it? Hybrid log gamma. A side note, I don't know what the difference is between this and scene. If anybody knows, leave a comment. Anyway, I do that. You can see our image just got washed out because now we're displaying the wide gamut color space on my monitor, which is not set up for that. So we need an output color space transform. This one we convert from the timeline color space into Rec 709, wherever that is. And for gamma, we want 2.4. Okay, now our colors look a lot better than the original version, more saturated. So far, so good. So suppose we want to add some actual image processing in the middle. And at this point, the video should be in that wide gamut intermediate color space. To demonstrate my problem, I'm going to add a ridiculous amount of sharpening. This isn't something you'd normally do, but it demonstrates the problem. It doesn't look great, but it does look the way I would expect an over-sharpened image to look. So let's export that as a reference. I'll call that manual CST. Gosh, I want to put it where I was just looking. Let's just do that. Okay, so there's that version. Now, that's kind of a hassle, particularly if you have footage in multiple color spaces, which I do. You're supposed to be able to automate the color space transformations. So let's reset the sharpening. oops, over here, and get rid of our CST nodes. So now we're back to the washed out image. Now we should be able to switch our color science to DaVinci YRGB Color Managed, which has DaVinci do the color management. And let's switch to HDR for, let's do automatic color management and switch to HDR for our intermediate, which my understanding is that should be basically the same as what we did before with the DaVinci wide gamut. So let's do that. We can see the colors look better now. So far so good. Now let's sharpen our image again. And what's this? There are these strange green and blue speckles. If we hide some of this, you can see it a little better. So that doesn't look great. And this is admittedly a very artificial example. I ran into this because I wanted just a slight amount of sharpening for my video. And all of these strange speckles appeared in the shadows. And I've observed it with some other processing on the intermediate. It's just most dramatic with sharpening. So, you know, and there's some green here, some blue here, some red over here. To me, it looks like I've done some image processing. It looks like there's some integer value for the color components of these pixels, and it's underflowing to a negative value and then being interpreted as a very large positive value instead of being clipped the way it should. But maybe that's what's going on. Maybe it's not. It certainly shouldn't look like this. Now, I'm not sure exactly what this color processing means, this HDR color processing mode means. So let's be a little more explicit, turn off automatic color management, and now we explicitly select an intermediate. Maybe this is what it was using, I'm not sure. Let's use the DaVinci wide gamut intermediate we were using before. And again, the scene thing. Let's go to Rec 709 Gamma 2.4, so it's the same as what we had before. Save that. And the speckles are still there. They're actually less dramatic than they were before, so the choice of intermediate seems to affect them, but it does not make them go away. If we switch to an SDR intermediate, let's go back to this and do SDR here. The speckles seem to mostly go away, but there's still something really weird going on in the shadows here. If I crank up this scaling, you can see, you know, there's still speckles there. They're just not as bright. Okay, so let's go back to our settings that seem to be most faithfully representing what we did before, reproducing what we did before. Okay, now we should have the same video as we had with manual color space transforms. Obviously we don't. Let's export that, call it auto CST. Now let's look at whether these artifacts actually show up in the exported movie and if they're the only differences between the two movies. So if I open both of these, and then let's get these in exactly the same location. Okay, now I can press Command backtick and switch back and forth between the two. So here's the manual color space transforms. The blacks are nice and dark. Here's the auto color space transform, and there is in fact speckling there, and if I hit play, it's moving. And if I switch back and forth, to my eye, it looks like the speckles are the only difference between the two. But let's find out for sure. I can copy a frame from each movie into preview to save them as images. So if I go copy, and then switch to preview, and then say new from clipboard. There is a frame grab from the manual. Back to the location I want it. Okay, let's save that as a PNG. And then if I go back to QuickTime Player and go to the Auto CST, copy a frame, go to Preview, and we'll save that one. Now let's open them up in GIMP so we can do some image processing. Let's pick both these, open with GIMP. I want to keep the color profile so that the math works out consistently. Oh gosh, I hate GIMP's AI UI. Okay, here we go. We now have two images, and we can switch back and forth. Let's copy the image with the speckles. That's the Auto CST. So I can copy, and let's switch over to the other one and paste. And that creates a new layer over here. So now we can turn this layer on and off to effectively switch between the two. Okay, now let's switch blending modes to show the difference between these images. So I can pull down mode and switch to difference. I hate GIMP's UI. Let's try this again. Difference. So it sure looks like the speckles, but it's hard to tell for sure because everything's so dark. So let's brighten it up. First, we have to combine our layers into a single layer with just the differences. And then we can use the levels tool and drag this down to brighten everything up. And we can see that there's a little bit more going on than just the speckles. Maybe that's just different video compression artifacts. Maybe it's a sign that the sharpening is happening in a different color space in the two scenarios. I don't know. But regardless, it does appear that mostly whatever this bug is affecting these speckly areas. Okay, to show that this is a regression, I'm going to install an older version of Resolve and do the same thing. Okay, I just installed Resolve version 20.1.1, build 7, I believe. So here it is, 20.1.1, build 7. And let's try to reproduce the problem. New project, import that video, add it to the timeline. Hello, oh right. Set the color management to color managed, HDR, save that, switch over here. Add sharpening, and the image gets sharper, but no colored speckles. So you can see that it does not occur on version 20.1.1. And in the process of trying to narrow it down, I also tried version 19.1.4, and the problem did not occur. Also, I was curious if it could be a macOS specific bug, so I did fire up Resolve 20.2.1 on Windows, and I could replicate the problem, although it was a hassle since Windows makes processing 10-bit HEVC video challenging. In any case, my point is I'd like to use Resolve's color management, automatic color management, since it saves a lot of work over manual CSTs, but it's introducing artifacts into my video, and it seems to be a bug and a regression. I know this example involved an extreme and unrealistic amount of sharpening. You'll have to take my word for it that these artifacts showed up with more reasonable color processing. I will leave a link to my example video and exported Resolve projects in the comments if anyone wants to replicate the problem. If any of you have an explanation or if DaVinci Resolve fixes the problem, please let me know in the comments. Okay, thanks. Bye.